Fáilte aine is Mr. Jerry Early and Shaw the one more. The brown more on an leg now will Féile Róise Rua Blin Shaw, but the Cudgy when much alas, when much a leg alas, and Blin Shaw Huggin, visa hin, agus the army the wagon. Welcome everybody, my name is Jerry Early from Moore. I had a little slot this year for Féile Róise Rua. I was going to tell a little story and sing a song that I co-wrote with a cousin of mine, John Gallagher in Glasgow. Actually recorded in this very, well it was wrote in this very room. Tells the story of a lifeboat rescue from the Islanders here in Moore in 1940, which is 80 years ago now. As you can see behind me, today is a little bit rough, otherwise we would have been recording this outside, but of course Jerry, lastminute.com, we waited until today and it's too breezy to do it outside. So if you can sort of get a sense from the weather in the background, it's a little breezy. Sea conditions are probably moderate to fresh. So I suppose the backdrop of the story is the guys who went out on that day in a much smaller boat than we have in the background. Was an unbelievable feat of bravery, courage, seamanship. We were called out to a Dutch boat that was in distress, about 20 miles from here down in a place called Inishbofin, an island, and it's called Inishbofin, not far from Tory Island, where there was 28 men on board this boat. Unfortunately, 10 of them had tried to get off the boat and were lost. And subsequently, a British naval destroyer tried to effect a rescue but wasn't able to because of the dangers. So it was then that the call came from the Moore guys to see if they would, see if they could go. And ultimately the decision was made that they would, and thankfully they rescued all 18 men on board, and it was then very unique in the sense that gold medals are not very easily handed out to anybody, particularly in the history of Ireland. There's only ever been 2 gold medals for lifeboat rescues in the history of the RNLI, and this being one of them. So it was unique in the sense that also the Queen of Holland, Queen Wilhelmina, also bestowed a gold medal honours on them. So it is the only lifeboat rescue that has 2 gold medals for the same call out. I was fortunate enough to know 5 of the crew as a young man growing up, and they never spoke about it, which in a sense was always a big question why they didn't. But in hindsight and with a little bit of thought into it, they had a job to do, they done it, and the men of the day, probably, in fairness to all those in the rescue services, they don't tend to dwell on the good ones, they tend to dwell on the bad ones that didn't turn out so good. So just to market the men, so 2014 John and I collaborated to write this song, and in many ways it took the men back to life on the island, because so many of the younger people, including my own generation, didn't really know the story or didn't remember it, and then for the younger generation it was really, really cool for them to realise that we're walking in the footsteps of legends. And if you ever come to the island, if you come off the pier, come off the ferry dock, you will see that the proceeds from the song and all that sort of was made from the song went to erecting a monument in their memory. And I suppose that for me is probably the greatest source of pride, that forever and a day now these men will be remembered for the feat they done. So if you think of back in the village, Nagaro, where most of the crew were from, they were all brothers. There was 2 sets of brothers, they were all neighbours. So I mean, from 100 yards, 200 yards, all these men were neighbours, friends, relations, and thank God it did turn out well, because we can only imagine what it would have done to that little village if it didn't. So anyway, no further ado, I'll sing the song. It's simply called I'll Go, and it tells the story that Lakewood Rescue on the 7th of December in 1940. And I just want to mention as well that it was very important for me that my father is still going strong, because he would have been a huge inspiration for me in telling the story and also getting it as factually correct as possible. So, and a big shout out to John as well, John Gallagher, who will probably hear this in the comforts of his lockdown in Glasgow. I would much rather be locked down in Armore. It's not really locked down. It's not tonight of any night, said the coxswain of the crew. The chances of survival on a night like this are few. December 1940, round the coast of Donegal, came a great north wind that could have been the cruelest of them all. 14 men were missing, 18 more in great distress. Jack Boyle knew that their future in his hands had come to rest. He knew a man who knew the sea, if any man would know. Will you show the way without delay? O'Donnell said, I'll go. I'll go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm a lifeboat man, I am my father's son. I will go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm an island man, I am my father's son. The neighbours watched them gather and they cast a worried eye, and wondered how that lifeboat crew could possibly survive. They all agreed that some at least the greatest price would pay, and the old man shed a tear, knelt on the ground to pray. While standing on the pier with his hand-picked squad of men, Jack told each one that they might never see their homes again. And he told them there would be no shame if this time they said no. Each traced the cross upon his brow, stepped up and said, I'll go. I'll go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm a lifeboat man, I am my father's son. I will go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm an island man, I am my father's son. Against the storm, against the gale, against the mighty wave, those men were rightly honoured as the bravest of the brave. And let us all salute them and thank God for men like these, who would risk their lives for strangers in peril on the sea. O'Donnell, Ward and Gallagher, remember these names well. With the Boyles and the Burns and Rogers, they faced the seas from hell. With the waves above them crashing down, a heaving mass below. God bless them everyone, and made the vow to say I'll go. I'll go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm a lifeboat man, I am my father's son. I will go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm an island man, I am my father's son. Now the volunteer lifeboat crew are sullen out in war, to face the greatest storm they had ever seen before. But they brought them 18 sailors home and left them on the land. Now they're safe and well and home again by the grace of God's own hand. Now the spirits soar above the waves and leave early eternal rest. And surely if there's justice, they are seated with the best. And I'd like to think in that last hour God whispered soft and low, and welcomed home the 8 brave men who made the vow to go. I'll go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm an island man, I am my father's son. I will go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm from Arranmore, I am my father's son. Yes, I'll go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm an island man, I am my father's son. I will go and do the best I can, I'll do what must be done. I'll go 'cause I'm from Arranmore, I am my father's son. I just want to also say that lifeboat rescue in 1940 was one of only 3 lifeboat rescues that received gold medals, and it's unique in the sense that it received 2 because the men they rescued were Dutchmen, and the Queen of Holland, Queen Wilhelmina, also bestowed gold medals. So a big hearty adieu to those men, and may they always be fondly and cherishly remembered. Agus. Sorry for that. And hopefully, as I said, we'll see you again next year, and we'll make up for all the silly stuff that's happened this year. So stay safe, stay well, and please God we'll all someday meet again. Bye.